We continue to follow the breaking news. 3 children and 3 adults killed inside a Tennessee elementary school. What we just learned about the woman accused of carrying out the attack and her connection to the school.
We are unequivocally opposed to this action.
Baltimore has been chosen to treat toxic wastewater from last month's train derailment in Ohio. The concerns about the toxins in the plant selected. And Lamar Jackson speaks out on his contract saga with the Ravens, and it is not good news for Baltimore.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45 News at 6 starts right now with the exclusive Fox Track Your Baltimore Minute.
As early as Thursday, wastewater from the Ohio train derailment could make its way to Clean Harbors, a private company in Baltimore City where it would be treated.
They probably weren't aware of all of the problems that we've been having.
Late Saturday night, officers spotted a car wanted in connection to an armed robbery that had occurred the night before, 35 miles away in Westminster. The attempted traffic stop turning into a police pursuit and ending in a deadly crash. The pursuit lasting more than 5 minutes and ending about 5 miles away in Roland Park, where the driver lost control, hit a parked car, and then crashed into a tree.
We got one trap. We got one trap in the passenger seat.
The driver's 74-year-old wife, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, was killed.
It's a sad day in the state of Tennessee. Deadly gun violence happens inside an elementary school in Nashville. Now, this happened this morning at the Covenant School. It's a private Christian school. Police say 3 children and 3 staff members were killed. Now, we just learned all the children are 9 years of age. So authorities say that suspect was a 28-year-old woman who's a former student of the school herself. Police say she was armed with 2 assault-style rifles and a handgun. Police say she had maps of the school. She was killed by responding officers. President Biden addressed the shooting this afternoon.
We have to do more to stop gun violence. It's ripping our communities apart, ripping the soul of this nation, ripping at the very soul of the nation.
Now, police say they plan to release surveillance video. In the meantime, they continue to look into the possible motives in this case. Mary?
Hi, thank you. Well, this week, Baltimore could be receiving wastewater from the Ohio train derailment. The waste will be treated at the troubled Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant and released locally. But there is a push right now to stop it. Just tonight, Congressman Kwesi Mfume said he has called on the EPA to rescind its decision to bring some of the wastewater here to Baltimore. And he is not the only one speaking out. Olivia Dance has more.
If the wastewater comes to Baltimore, eventually it will make its way to the Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant, which, if you can see, is just across the river there. But local and state leaders are concerned and say that this plant is not able to handle that kind of wastewater.
We are unequivocally opposed to this action.
If I have to stand in front of the train to stop it, I'll do it.
As early as Thursday, wastewater from the Ohio train derailment could make its way to Clean Harbors, a private company in Baltimore City where it would be treated. The 675,000 gallons of water would then be released into the city sanitary sewer lines and eventually make its way to the Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant.
While the EPA thought maybe state-of-the-art facility, they probably weren't aware of all of the problems that we've been having at that wastewater treatment plant.
Delegate Kathy Shalega and other state lawmakers are working quickly to pass bipartisan legislation to stop this from happening, despite the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency saying they cannot stop toxic material from coming into our state.
These trains full of water, wastewater, toxic water from East Palestine can come to Baltimore. They can be treated at the facility, a private facility here in Baltimore, but then they can also be loaded back on a train and sent somewhere else. And that's what we're hoping that will happen.
The Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant has faced numerous problems. The state even had to step in for an environmental rescue mission to get the plant up to compliance. Concerns about the plan to bring Ohio wastewater to the plant are also coming out of Baltimore County.
God forbid something goes wrong and our river at Back River is contaminated once again. That's why we are opposed to this action.
We have other facilities that they could take this water to. given the fact that what's happened at Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant, it's like adding even more problems down there.
Not only are state and Baltimore County leaders against the wastewater coming to Maryland, but Baltimore City leaders are introducing resolution asking the EPA to reverse their decision.
It is really unfortunate that the EPA and the Biden administration would do this with so little communication. So I know that the mayor's team and all of us are looking at legal options to reverse this decision.
Working together across both parties with the hopes of protecting city and county residents, as well as the Chesapeake Bay.
It is just our greatest natural resource. So I'm hoping our combined efforts will be able to stop this wastewater from going into our sewer system, our treatment plant, and eventually into the bay.
Beyond the environmental concerns, several state and local leaders tell me they're worried about the lack of communication, saying they only found out about this days ago. For now, reporting in Essex, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 News.
Taking a look now at the Fox 45 quad box, Lamar Jackson says he is requested to be traded from the Ravens earlier this month. The quarterback can negotiate with other teams, but the Ravens can either match an offer or let him walk in exchange for first-round draft picks. Right now, Governor Wes Moore's pick to lead the state police is facing a confirmation hearing. Roland Butler has an uphill battle as concerns remain over civil rights issues inside the department. 3 people, including a 14-year-old boy, shot last night in Severn. Anne Arundel County police say they were found inside a home near Tomlinson Court. One of them has life-threatening injuries. And there is now an $8,000 reward to help solve the murder of former Olympic boxer Ernest Hall. He was gunned down in a mass shooting in West Baltimore last Thursday. A vigil in his memory will be held tomorrow night at the gym he owned in Mount Vernon. Time is ticking for lawmakers to finalize the legal marijuana framework for Marylanders ahead of July 1st. That's when recreational pot officially becomes legal. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has been investigating the money behind the moves. She reports on with where things stand as the hemp industry continues to voice its concerns.
Recreational marijuana can mean big business for states, and that could result in some big money. But as Maryland prepares to launch its recreational cannabis framework, some hemp industry owners say they're feeling cut out of the process. After voters approved legal marijuana last year, it's a mad dash for lawmakers to set the parameters before it's a push to sell.
And they have 90 days essentially to set up a $2 billion industry.
Nicholas Patrick, owner of Embrace CBD Wellness, says lawmakers are feeling that pressure to get the cannabis construct done, even if it means the hemp industry is left behind.
I absolutely believe that since the referendum passed in November of last year, that the legislature has been forced now to tackle this issue with one legislative session.
According to campaign finance reports, cannabis-connected donors gave to some key players in the marijuana landscape in Maryland. Senators Brian Feldman and Antonio Hayes, along with delegates C.T. Wilson and Vanessa Atterbury, are sponsors of the cannabis reform bills in both chambers. Diving deeper into the donor history, Feldman getting thousands of dollars from cannabis-connected donors in 2021, and from January 3rd of this year through January 11th, right as the General Assembly session began, Feldman raked in more than $11,000 from cannabis companies, including $1,000 from Jake Van Wingerden, the president of SunMed Growers, a medical cannabis grower in the state. Wilson got a $6,000 donation, the max allowed in one cycle, on October 19th, 2022 from Van Wingerden. Wilson got another $1,000 donation from Van Wingerden on January 2nd, 2023. Van Wingerden continued to dole out the cash. Atterbury getting a $1,000 donation on January 5th. Hayes getting $2,500 from Van Wingerden on January 2nd, too. But it's not just legislators. Governor Wes Moore got a $6,000 check from SunMed on January 5th, the week before session began. With all this money flowing to the lawmakers, Patrick and hemp grower Levi Sellers say their business could dry up. And it's not on accident.
But I believe the cannabis industry is trying to consolidate and monopolize the market.
And we believe the MMCC to be compromised by associations like CanMD.
The MMCC is the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission, and leading CanMD, Jake Van Wingerden. CanMD did not respond to questions from Fox 45 News about the concerns from the hemp industry. And the hundreds of pages worth of legislation is the cap on the level of THC that can be in hemp-derived products like CBD oils and balms and Delta-8, which, unlike traditional weed, doesn't get users as high.
There is a big demand for lower potency products that are currently being offered by the hemp industry.
They say the cap will force the doors closed on their businesses.
This week in the Senate,
When asked about those concerns, Senate President Bill Ferguson says that language was written on purpose.
the default is probably less sympathetic to ongoing operations because this was never intended to be an ongoing legal product.
Ferguson argues public health is at risk in the largely unregulated market of hemp products.
I don't think it was ever anticipated as a product for sale at a retail establishment.
But Patrick and Sellers say it's unregulated because of government inaction. After the 2018 Farm Bill greenlit hemp, they say they've been asking for regulation in the market to weed out bad actors, but that hasn't happened until now, when cannabis companies are looking to move into the recreational arena.
They're cutting us out of our industry. Why not allow the existing businesses that are already selling these products to continue to sell these products under proper regulatory authority?
These two hemp business owners say they unsuccessfully tried to get the Hogan administration to open the state up to hemp regulations. When Moore ran on leaving no one behind, they say they were optimistic. Now, with the legislation moving through that they say would cut them out of an industry Congress opened up, that optimism seems to be fading.
That has not happened so far, and again, I think we're running out of time.
When asked about the possibility of these small businesses being forced to close due to regulation, Governor Wes Moore's office issued us a statement, noting the governor released $40 million to help with the upstart process for businesses, adding the funding will be provided to small businesses to unleash the opportunity in communities across the state. But Sellers and Patrick argue applying for a recreational pot license likely won't help them stay afloat if they get a license at all.
The legislation is expected to move forward sometime this week, and the final day of the General Assembly is in 2 weeks. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, Fox 45 News is helping you make your voice heard. Scan the QR code right there on your screen. It'll take you to our website where we put together a list of email addresses and phone numbers for your state senators and delegates, including Senate President Bill Ferguson and House Speaker Adrian Jones.
A potential consequence of the turmoil in the banking sector could hit Main Street. I'm Atra El-Nashar with what it means for you and your access to credit.
And something we don't see for a matter of years around here, 5 planets lined up. Mars, as well as Uranus, Venus, Jupiter, as well as Mercury. Right around sunset, take a look off to the west. That's your best viewing if skies can clear. I'll let you know what the chances are of that. My Weather Authority forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
New tonight, First Citizens Bank is buying much of what remains of the failed Silicon Valley Bank. But tonight, the banking sector continues to brace for the fallout of two recent bank failures. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar reports from Washington.
The week starting with an acquisition that could stave off panic in the banking sector. First Citizens Bank's purchase of much of Silicon Valley Bank's assets, deposits, and loans, boosting confidence that other small and medium-sized banks will stay afloat. But the risk isn't totally erased.
We know that there are other banks that have some exposure to long-dated treasury bonds, who have some duration risk, as they call it, on their books.
Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari says fundamentally the banking sector is sound, but said this when asked if all the turmoil tips the economy toward a recession.
Well, it definitely brings us closer. Right now, what's unclear for us is how much of these banking stresses are leading to a widespread credit crunch. And then that credit crunch, you're right, just as you said, would then slow down the economy.
A credit crunch, meaning banks make it harder to get a loan, from car loans for individuals to small businesses trying to expand. A double whammy for borrowers already facing more expensive debt as the Federal Reserve raises interest rates.
Here on Capitol Hill, lawmakers tell us they're keeping a close eye on the local banks and industries in their home states for any signs economic activity is contracting, which could be an early indicator of a broader economic slowdown.
People are not shipping as much. People are not spending as much money on goods and services. So I am very concerned about how fast we cool inflation.
It's a concern felt around the world as other central banks also raise rates. International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva telling the China Development Forum this will be a challenging year with slowing global growth.
Uncertainties are exceptionally high.
Here in the U.S., policymakers setting their sights on fresh readings of GDP and inflation to be released later this week. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
Look at our Fox Triplecast this evening. Look at that, a little bit of clearing trying to work in on our Mile 1 Taos cam and the Toyota Shinta Harbor Sky Cam brightening just a bit. So hopefully if we can get these clouds out of here, you can see the 5-planet alignment, at least in and out with some of the clouds. HG radar shows rain moving away and sunshine eventually taken back over. That latest weather maker on the exit. But we still have to get through again some clouds. There still could be a sprinkle through about just after sunset. But for the most part, drier air is trying to punch in from the west. And that's going to leave us with a better forecast for tomorrow and for the midweek as well. We saw a little bit of rain, about 1/10 of an inch out of what came down during the morning, the midday into the early afternoon commute. Now that rain again is pushing away. So it's looking at least more encouraging for the latter portion of our commute. Cooler air is working in, and it's going to work in fairly quick as we head into tonight and tomorrow. Temperatures probably settling into the low 40s tonight, 50s with sunshine tomorrow as the system finally works its way east and away, although there could be a sprinkle in the afternoon. And then after that, some lows in the 30s could be coming our way for a couple of days. 59 with the clouds on the Mile 1 Taos cam, winds out of the northwest at 5, which is a drier direction. Right about 60 degrees, maybe some upper and mid 50s where the rain is just ending more recently. The cooler numbers off to the north and also out to the north and west. Columbus, Cleveland behind the system. It is cooler. It will be cooler around here as well for tomorrow after making the low to mid 60s before the rain moved in today. By about 8 to 10 p.m. tonight, the rain or any sprinkles and some patchy clearing, and then work our way through tomorrow. High temperatures getting into the low and mid 50s, that is, with a sprinkle chance during the afternoon. A little disturbance rolling by, and then the sunshine comes back. 42 for tonight with clouds and some stars. A couple early sprinkles tomorrow. A little better. 57 with clouds and some sunshine. Cool, a little bit on the blustery side as well. I'm going to let you know when we could have highs well into the 70s once again. That's in my exclusive 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
An impressive lightning display last night as a storm rolled through Morehead City along the North Carolina coast. This is officially the snowiest winter in Alta Ski Resort's history. The Utah mountain has 761 inches and counting. And Washington, D.C. may have the most famous cherry blossoms in the country, but the trees in Portland, Oregon are blooming too, and they are also gorgeous.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on TikTok.
Faith under fire. I'm Angela Brown in Washington, D.C. Religious hate crimes rising fast with the latest FBI data shows us.
Several new reports indicate religious hate crimes are on the rise, but some are questioning whether the numbers are right. The National Desk's Angela Brown explains.
This morning, we went through the FBI's newly released report. It says religion-based motivated hate crimes increased by 36.7% in large cities. But that number really could be off because not every law enforcement agency reported hate crime data to the FBI.
Faith Under Fire, the new report just released from the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism.
It's horrifying. And every time I go into these numbers, we get these numbers, we open them up, and I go, oh my God, you know, these are actual people.
Data deeply disturbing. A 27% increase in religion-targeted hate crimes. The Jewish community, the most targeted. 470 hate crimes in 2022, a 28% increase.
Anyone you slice it, whether you use FBI data, our data for 2021, and then you look at 2022, whether you use our data or ADL, we're talking 2 consecutive years of double-digit increases.
The report says anti-Catholic hate down slightly after hitting a record the year prior. Other non-Christian faiths up 117%. Muslim hate crimes, a 16% rise. Edward Achman Mitchell, Deputy Director for CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, says the numbers may be undercounted.
Very important first step. Congress should make federal funding for local police agencies dependent on those agencies reporting hate crime data to the national FBI database.
The DOJ releasing a statement just days ago promising aggressive investigations and prosecution.
I think the American Muslim community, like many other communities, are firm and strong in our faith, and therefore we're not walking around just, terrified and afraid to live our lives. We believe in God, and we believe that God is the best protector.
The FBI says hate crimes overall increased by over 11% in 2021, with hate crimes motivated by sexual orientation increasing the most by 62% in large cities. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Exclusive 10-day forecast. Here we got an afternoon or evening shower or sprinkle on Tuesday with some extra clouds mixed with some sun. A little better than today. 57 sunshine back. Cold starts here. Wednesday, Thursday could even have some frost for the tender plants that may be put outside early. Those have probably a better chance of being brought inside. And then maybe a shower late as you work into Friday. 70s, rain and thunderstorms Saturday. Cool down briefly for Sunday, but then we're back at it. 60s and low 70s. Feeling like spring well into next week.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, finally tonight, a big day for a group of Baltimore students.
And the recipients of our full tuition scholarships for the next 4 years at McDaniel.
I don't think they could believe it at first. 5 Baltimore City High School seniors were surprised today with full tuition scholarships to attend McDaniel College. The students were selected from Mervo, Western Poly, and Green Street Academy. The students saying they are thrilled for the life-changing opportunity.
It was great. As a first-generation college student coming from a single-family household, it made college feel accessible.
Well, the scholarships will save the students more than $180,000 over 4 years. That's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feuds next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Good night.